In 2003, a switch was flipped for the last time, and suddenly, 50 years of history were left in the dark. Everything is intact. The machines, the tiles, time itself, everything stopped. But what's truly frightening isn't the silence of the factory, but what we found hidden in the house. More than 30 names, 30 men in just 2 years, dates, places, and photos that should never have left this room. A meticulous list of intimate encounters, as if they were trophies. Today we're going to go through this labyrinth. We're going to try to understand whether what killed this giant was the economy or the unbearable weight of secrets. This is the largest and most intact factory I have ever found. All the machinery is here, all this part here leads to the other building, and now we'll see it from the other building, which is enormous. And in this part here, almost everything is here. This machine seems to test a brick's resistance by applying pressure until it breaks, serving as quality control for the bricks. And here they have another one. It's actually cooler, even with a gauge to see how many kilos it's supporting. And I guess the piece would go here or something. This is a steel block that weighed a ton. Look, it even picks up the glove. I'm not sure if this was a mold for making tiles under pressure or something similar. There are more here with different patterns, so I think they're plates. And here, look at the machine. Which seems like it worked with pressure. I suppose they had many models and they kept these stored here. Look, Cortes molds placed here. So yes, these are molds for making the tiles. This slab here is raw. They haven't put any stamping on it. It's smooth. I suppose they would add the stamping later. And on this big machine here, we can see that it already has the molds for stamping, which are placed on the machine. Look at the huge piston there, which comes down to apply all the pressure. From here they would probably come out in a row, given how wide this is, and they would come this way, and here they would start to be cut, and the pattern would be made. Look at this part here, they're cut, and here there are some belts the size of a tile, and they would go through here all the way to the end. And this roller here is probably to polish them, since this whole part is marked. And this would suck up the dust. It's probably connected over there with a tube. I just realized something. They made this with tiles, probably with test tiles they couldn't use, and to make use of them, they needed to open a wall here and use tiles. Impressive, I've never seen anything like this. From here you can already get an idea of how big this is. It's huge, and there are several buildings that go off to the right, which we'll see in a moment. There are quite a few slabs here, but I don't know if they used to break the slabs and make them thinner to create the tiles. Those over there look like they've gotten wet and turned into mud. They probably didn't have the treatment done and couldn't withstand the water, because this one here has withstood the water. And here we can even see the slabs in the machine on the conveyor belt, and here another polisher. There were so many steps to do. That's all raw material over there, and that machine handles another part of the process. Little by little, as I was looking around, I came across this. They're balls made of something like white cement, and they're super hard and really heavy. They're like stones. And I've also seen bags full of these balls on the other side, which, I don't know, honestly, I have no idea what those balls are. This is where we get to the warehouses. This is one of the warehouses they use to store the material. I'm not going to record much around here because the company's name is everywhere, so I'm not going to film this much. There are tons of wasted material. They pretty much left everything here. Now let's look ahead. It looks like they left production halfway done, because even the machines are full of material. Check out these cool tiles I just saw, and there are a lot of boxes on this pallet. Alright, I'll record myself to avoid showing the company name, so I won't need to blur it later. But even so, you can still see a bit of everything behind us. And let's go to the other part. There are more of these balls here. All the full sacks I mentioned before, see here, they stored them in sacks. We continue through the factory area, and this machine, which looks like it had suction cups with air pressure to hold all the pieces up. Alarm 1 suction pump, alarm 2 output port lock. They had several types of alarms to know what fault they had or what they were missing. And from the large slabs we saw earlier, I think they would end up cutting them and making them like this, into tiles. Look, here is the stamping we saw before. It wasn't for the front part, but for the back, where the cement or tile adhesive is applied. I suppose each factory would have its own patented ones because those things are patented and everyone has their own design. But the material that's left is impressive that they were able to leave all this material here. Now we're going to go a little further ahead. A machine I saw had the material practically loaded on the line. As if they were working, the machine was turned off and they just left. It's very strange that they closed like that overnight. I really don't know the reason why they would close so quickly, in such a hurry. I don't know. Here we have other types of tiles they made that look like small roof tiles and these 3D molds. And this, how cool would be for the visible part of the facades. It's really heavy. In this video, I'm recording myself a lot because if I point the camera straight ahead, it shows up all the time. The company's name, so I'm going to be filming myself when I don't want the company's name that's around here to be shown. You can see how big the company was from all those boxes. They even had their own cleaning machine. I imagine all the dust that was generated here, which must have been a lot because as you can see the floor is muddy. I imagine that with all the dust that was here and when it rained, it turned into mud. But it's very interesting that they have their own cleaning machine. I've been to many factories, but very few of them kept this here. The forklift, or the fenwish, whatever you want to call it. Inside there, they had an electric pallet jack. That also costs a lot of money, doesn't it? That's what I said. It's hard to understand why they left this machinery here, since it's valuable and easy to sell. It shows the company once had a lot of money to own such equipment. They likely had their own mechanics, since technical service is usually included when renting this type of equipment. If you buy it, you'll need frequent repairs, and without qualified mechanics, it will cost you a lot. I don't know if you can see the cat through the crack. It's there, hiding inside the machine, black and white, beautiful. Alright, let's leave him alone. Let's take a look at this machine over here. This must be one of the machine's controls, pretty basic. Honestly, it didn't have much, I guess just enough for the machinery to work. And a drawer right here. They probably recorded their daily or shift activities. For example, this machine would be operated by a worker who would have to write down what they did every day. Box 1 changed color to USET blue, 7 boxes USET blue, as said by Jose Vicente. I guess they would leave notes between shifts, and the last worker here even left a piece of bread there. Look at these rails. This part here would be used to bring the pallet to this area. And this looks like a kiln, and it goes all the way to the end of the factory. Yeah, it really looks like a kiln. And give it the heating elements it needs to heat the clay, the tiles themselves, and give them the resistance they need. After that, I imagine that's when they did the tests, the resistance tests, or quality tests, so to speak. This is the other part of the kiln, and look, on the controls it says burner on, burner working. So, it really was a kiln, although I was pretty sure about it, and here it showed the temperature it was reaching. Look, this is the area I was telling you about where the machines have the material. Here, there too. Over there, the whole machine is full of material. All these lines. As if they stopped working overnight and the machine was left fully loaded. This part here that looks like, look at that over there. That tip is like a paint gun in here. Or they would paint it. Or give it a base coat of enamel or something like that. In that part over there, you can see it much better. It's like a paint gun. They would go through here and give them a coat, either with paint or enamel. I'm not sure. The barrels are full of color pigment, which we can see a little bit here, to give color to the tiles and slabs. And look how long it's been abandoned, with all these cobwebs everywhere. August 2002. I've gone into one of the factory's galleries and look what I found. Old boxes of tiles. The boxes are made of wood, and look at the type of tile it is. It's a very, very old tile. And there are a lot of them. They're boxes with tiles. And I think these moldings are for the corners, because I've seen in many old houses that have this kind of tiling, they used to put them on the corners to finish off the edges. Were these tiles some old batch they had stored here and in the end they just got left here to go to waste? And here are more. And this type of tile nowadays must be pretty sought after. All this we see here are packing boxes. It's impressive that they left everything like this. This cart is full of molds, these ones. It's filled to the top. From here we can see how long the production line is in this hall, since, as I've mentioned, there are several warehouses. I didn't really know what these things here were, but I got closer to one and look. It has a bunch of tiles inside. I don't know if they could be kilns or for drying the tiles or something like that. They're filled to the top. All of them have tiles. And look at all the machines there are. Because this one here is also full of tiles. Some are even broken, just so you get an idea of what I'm saying. They left overnight. And here are all the pallets with the boxes to store the material, more material ready to go into the production line. They had this at the main entrance. I'm only recording like this because the whole wall is covered and I'm going to have to blur out the bathrooms. The workers haven't even taken the faucets. They haven't even come to steal the faucets, which are usually the first things they break and take. And the old style bathroom, the ones where you had to put your feet here and squat down. This was the workshop where they stored spare machine parts in case of breakdowns. And look at the wall they built here with tiles. They put up a wall with tiles like this. They likely used leftover tiles that failed quality tests for projects like this instead of discarding them. Here we have more, and on the other side, they plastered it. How curious. These things are unique. You can only see them in places like this. And the workers' lockers? And here they even left clothes in some of them. In these areas here, we already find all the spare parts they would need. For the machines, such a large production line would have to be changed quite easily. In fact, we've seen that they even had alarms for different types of failures. I think we're already reaching the house area here. Look at all this here. They piled up a lot of things around here, but look at all the games, even the PlayStation box. It's amazing to find things like this in abandoned places. Look at this Barbie thing, how cool, a pool and everything is full of toys. The kids in this house had everything they needed to have fun. And a projector? This is a projector, look at it, cool. Molde Nova. The kids would make clay figures, like their father at the factory. Look at this whole box here, I think they're Playmobil figures. It doesn't say so, but it looks like it. There are a lot of photographs, end-of-year photos from 97. From 97, 98, fourth year of secondary school. I'm not going to show the faces and so on, because these photos aren't that old. Check out this precision scale I found. It opens here. I don't want to open it in case I can't close it again. And this is going to start getting in, but it's a really cool precision scale. They put them inside these cases so that not even the air could affect the measurement. It was for measuring very tiny things, and this computer is really cool. I think we've all had one similar to this. All the toys he had were amazing. I was looking through this box here. There were some books, and look what showed up. Hi beautiful, I love you so much, kisses. P.S. Let's see if we have a ... It's about time. I also found this little box here, which is very personal. There are photos of her with other guys, but look at this here. What she had under those photos with those guys. She wrote down the names of the guys she had something with here, even for some of them, as you can see there. 24 years old. She even wrote down the age of the guys she slept with or had something with, and she also noted where it happened, in which city or where they were from. The guys she wrote down as number 14 and number 15. And she writes on the side, repeated. There are some really interesting things like the dates. On October 9th she was with Marcos. I think she wrote 12 years old, next to number 2. A few days later she was with Rubio, 18 years old. I don't know if she wrote Rubio because she didn't know his name, he was just Rubio. Then she was with someone called Jesusete the next day, and again with Jesusete, then again with Rubio, and now with a guy named Miguelin. And all of this happened over the course of a couple of months. In total, she wrote down 32 guys. I find it unbelievable that she would even write that down as a trophy. But well, these are the curious things we find in abandoned places. We're already going up to the house part, and look how bad the scene is. The stairs, and this here is already the house. Let's go through this part here, which I imagine they also used as part of the house. Look, there's a fridge right as you enter, super old, they used it to store things. The whole house is full of things. It's not missing a single detail. Look at this calculator. It's practically new because it even has the box right there, cool, and over here too.
Look at this radio.
And another calculator, this one from Canon. It had this part here, which looks like an old pantry where they would store food. It used to be a cool room, so to speak. And it was full of junk. They probably didn't use it anymore and were using it as a storage room. Let's see what else we find around here. And this part here is super old, because look at all the jars here, they're really, really old. Nestle, look, well I guess they reused the jars later to put other things in them. And look, this room here is full of toys. Look at everything that's around here. The kids in this family must have had a great time. We've seen that the daughter definitely had fun. Look at this from Fisher-Price. How cool, the toys, the cars, even with the original box right there. How cool, this one is really nice. And look at the box, this Hot Wheels one, it's complete, it even has the instructions. And Playmobil, the Playmobil Ranch. No, sorry, the Fort Bravo. Look at all this here, there are so many toys, a ton of dolls. There must have been several siblings because there are toys for girls and for boys. And this other room? I can already see more toys and Playmobil boxes over there. Look at this Playmobil ship, that's amazing. There are also a ton of comic books.
Comic book, 250 pesetas.
Look at this here. He must have had it hanging up with the figures placed in each spot. Look at Obelix, Mickey. The Smurf, how cool, and this box full of books and stories. They spoiled them a lot because they had an impressive amount of toys and things. And now let's go to the other part, which is this one here through the door.
I would say yes, this is the part that's already the main part of the house.
At the back we can see the kitchen. They had two rooms here which are pretty much empty, but here we have the master bedroom, or what would be the parents' room. And look at all that's here. They've taken apart the closets and removed everything inside. Look at all the toys, all the Barbie dresses. Well, I don't know if they're really Barbie. This one is an Action Man.
They also have many stuffed animals.
Look at this here. Posters. Matutano posters. Jurassic Park posters. Collect the Jurassic Park posters. And it looks like he has the complete collection. Look at all the ones he has.
And here are the Furbies.
This one is from McDonald's, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, from McDonald's. I had one like these, from McDonald's.
All the dolls that are here and this one here, which even had a pacifier you could put in its mouth.
This thing with the fish over here, which has the box here. There are a lot of toys scattered around here. Look at this one. Oh, Captain Hook, how cool, he's missing his sword. Over here we have the bathroom. Look at all the bottles they had around here. The old razor. What a cool mirror they had here, but I'm not really sure why, because they had the bidet and the toilet right in front of the mirror.
Look, how curious that those tiles fell off and they stacked them there.
So at some point, the house was probably already out of use or practically abandoned, and someone from the family would come to check on it. Look, what a beautiful detail in the hallway with all the figures. And the huge kitchen completely intact. Wow, the clock, how cool. The fridge was empty. Look at the cobwebs around here, all over the faucets. There are still quite a few things left in the kitchen. Let's see. Look at this. Expiration date from 1991. And the calendar we have in the kitchen is from 94. The house was probably abandoned quite a bit before the rest of the factory. The factory kept operating and the house fell into disuse. And look at all the cans of cat food. I think this must have been after they abandoned the house or stopped living here, to feed all the cats that must have been around here or something. They're all empty. We've finished inside the house. Let's go outside to check for anything left and I'll show you.